Hey folks, Deano here again. This time taking a look at probably the final Lightning Collection figure for quite a while, until the hiatus ends at least. Yeah, this is the final remastered Mighty Morphin figure, Kimberly the Pink Ranger. And yeah, I'm glad to finally have these guys complete. But yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at the box, shall we? Before we do anything else. So yeah, picture of, or a render of, sorry, Kimberly on the front. Quite a nice picture, and a nice sort of watercolour sort of picture on here. You can actually see the detailed helmet clasps, which aren't on the figure. So yeah, a bit strange, but hey oh. Nice picture of her morphing, despite her already being morphed. And a picture of all of them on the back, including green with a shield, as they should be, still not over that. And yeah, picture of everything she comes with on the back of the box. So yeah, in terms of accessories, she comes with, if we get her back in, pinch the blade blaster, she comes with all three, same as all the other remastered figures. Decent sculpt. It's got most of the paint details. It's just missing the silver for the teeth at the back and the black for the handle there, which you can quite easily do yourself. Make it look a bit better. We've got the blaster version with the hole to put effect pieces in, none of which are available. And the bladed version, which looks nice. Got some silver on there. Not sure why. Again, we've got silver paint here. Why could you not just use it a tiny wee bit for the teeth at the back? Hasbro, was that too difficult? Was that too much money? That fraction of a pence worth of paint? So yeah. It comes with a civilian head, which again only leaves Jason without one. Hasbro, what are you doing? This was supposed to be like the definitive set. But yeah, it's decent enough. She looks a bit worried, and it's also still a bit cartoon-like. I'd also say, like, the facial features are there, but they seem a bit elongated, if that makes sense. Kimberly's face was kind of squished. Amy Jo Johnson, like, but yeah, other than that, it's a decent enough head sculpt. She comes with the morpher hands with the morpher. You can see the nice pterodactyl symbol there, and that just goes like that. You can also use it for posing hands. She comes with, for some reason, all females seem to come with these two, like a karate chop for the left or the right, depending on which figure, and a fist. So yeah, decent enough. And she also comes with a pair of sort of martial arts / grippy hands, which works well enough. They managed to make it so that the arrow does fit quite nicely in it, although it is a bit finicky. You do have to be very careful with it. But once it's in position, it's decent enough. And finally, she comes with her power bow and arrow. Unfortunately, Kimberly seems to have got the short end of the stick. Or the short end of the bow, whatever you want to say. Because this is missing quite a lot of details. And so is the arrow. The arrow, what do you call them? The wings? I've never shot a bow and arrow in my life, so couldn't tell you. yeah, these are supposed to be pink, as well as the tips here are meant to be pink. So this kind of looks really bland without it, unfortunately. It's just bare grey plastic. And same with the bow. These triangles right here are actually supposed to be hollow. You're supposed to see through it, but they could have got away with painting it black. Same with the handle. The handle should be black at that grip section there. And that little circle there should be gold, because that's where the coin, their animal, goes. And I get that they couldn't have I get that they couldn't have dealt with that, like they couldn't have molded that in, but you could have at least put a tiny splotch of gold there. Like, come on, guys. And finally, these two pieces here are either supposed to be grey or pink, depending on the prop that you see. So yeah, she did get a bit of the short end of the stick with this, unfortunately. Yeah, it gets the job done. You can customise it if you wish. So yeah, and finally, she comes with the morphing energy swirl effect. It's pink this time. Decent, same as the rest of them. So this one would do for Rosy Goku Black. So yeah, I basically got a use for every single one of these so far. But yeah, taking a look at the figure herself, she is pretty decent. Hasbro have always had an issue with the Pink Ranger. Every single release up until now, this middle section has been an almost purpley colour. So it's good to see that they have finally fixed that for the remastered release. And for some strange reason, the skirt has also been changed. Because if you see, the holster is part of the sculpt, whereas originally this was a separate piece. But if I remember correctly from other reviews, it also sucked quite high, so the blade blaster ended up in her underarm. So yeah, it's a bit strange that it's attached, but at the same time, it's good that they've fixed it, sort of thing. So yeah, the helmet is nice and glossy. It's pretty much what it should look like. Silver isn't badly done or anything like that. I've got a little bit of, I think, sprue underneath her nose, which I'll have to carefully scrape, because I don't want to scrape off the pink paint. But yeah, it looks really good. Again, completely new head sculpt. I'm not sure if they've used this head sculpt for Cat or not, but it's perfectly fine to me. And yeah, really like it. Other than that, the paint apps are decent on him. On her, sorry. You can see the pterodactyl logo quite clearly. That's been well painted as well, the morpher. And yeah, no complaints whatsoever with the paint apps on Kimberly. In terms of the articulation, unfortunately the females have a really restricted neck joint. You really can't get it to look anywhere apart from side to side, which is a real shame. The shoulders can go up that far. She's got a bit of a bend there, I've just noticed. That's a bit of a shame. I think that's the actual joint itself that's a bit wobbly from side to side. But you can get around that by putting the joint up and down. She's got a bicep swivel. Can go right the way around, no issues whatsoever. Butterfly joint, which works a lot better backwards than it does forwards. It still gets a bit of movement. double joint at the elbow, which is a lot better than the old figures. They were just single pins, very fragile. An actual rotation at the cuff, which I am not sure if the males or even Trini does that, and hinge and swivel at the wrist. We've got movement at the abs. I believe you can pop it up for more articulation, but I've never been able to get it to move. Can't go down that far. Back really far. She can do the conga just fine. Side to side up at the abs. The legs, I am not sure if the legs themselves are tight or if it's because the skirt is in the way. The front of the skirt, especially this side, because the holster is moulded in, it's very stiff. But you can pull it down. You can get it that far out. Unfortunately, that's a bit of a shame. Let's see if she can get any better on this side. Slightly better, but it's still in the way. It is still the pull down hips. You've got thigh swivel, double joint at the knee, which gets about that far, boot swivel, and the standard Hasbro ankle pivot, which can get really good range. So yeah, all in all, I am quite happy with her. Despite the lack of paint apps on her bow, it's still decent enough, I suppose. So yeah, since this is the last figure in the line, let's show her with all of her teammates. There, that's popping off. That's lovely. Yeah, it does work. I promise. It's just quite a bit on the loose side, honestly, between those fingers. But as long as you're careful with it, it does work just fine. So yeah, let's get her posed up with our teammates, shall we? And there we have it. The gang's all here. And I do say they look amazing together. And yeah, I think finally what I'll do is I'll put the power weapons all together just to show them all. And just like that, you have the Power Blaster, which yeah, I am very impressed that Hasbro managed to do this back in the day, and I'm even more happy that they remembered that they could do it. So yeah guys, that'll do it for this review. I'll probably do a couple smaller